Her name was Phoolan Devi, and her story is one of unimaginable hardship, fierce rebellion, and a shocking rise to power. Born in 1963 into the Malla caste, a low-ranking community of boatmen in rural Uttar Pradesh, India, Phoolan's life was marked by struggle from the very beginning. Her family was poor, and as a girl in a deeply patriarchal society, she was seen as little more than a burden. She received no formal education and spent her childhood doing household chores and grazing goats. The injustices started early. A bitter land dispute with her cousin Mayadeen shattered her family's already fragile stability. Young Phoolan, known for her fiery and defiant nature, refused to stay silent. She openly accused Mayadeen of stealing their land, a bold act for a young girl of her caste. This defiance, however, came at a terrible price. To silence her and settle the dispute, her family arranged her marriage at the age of just 11 to a man named Podala, who was more than 20 years her senior. This marriage was not a union of love. It was a cage. Phoolan endured horrific abuse at the hands of her husband. She eventually managed to escape and return to her parents' village, but she was branded as a disobedient and ruined woman. Her own community ostracized her. The stigma and shame followed her everywhere. Her cousin Mayadeen, still holding a grudge, continued to make her life difficult, even having her arrested on false theft charges. Phoolan's life took a dramatic and violent turn when she was abducted by a gang of dacoits, or bandits, led by Babu Gujar. This was a common terror in the ravines of the Chambal Valley. Within the gang, she found an unlikely protector in Vikram Malla, a man from her own caste. He defended her from the advances of Babu Gujar, an act that led to a violent split within the gang. Vikram killed Gujar and formed his own group, with Phoolan by his side. For a brief period, Phoolan found a semblance of agency and respect. Vikram treated her as an equal, teaching her how to use a rifle and involving her in the gang's activities. They began targeting upper caste communities, and Phoolan quickly gained a reputation as a modern-day Robin Hood, a symbol of lower caste rebellion. She became known as the Bandit Queen. The image of her in a khaki uniform, a rifle slung over her shoulder, became legendary. But this fragile peace was shattered. A rival faction within the gang, led by two upper caste Thakur brothers, Sri Ram and Lala Ram, grew resentful of Vikram's leadership and his relationship with Phoolan. They ambushed and murdered Vikram. What happened next is the most brutal and infamous chapter of her life. The Thakur brothers and their men took Phoolan to the village of Behmai. There, she was held captive, locked in a room, and subjected to repeated brutal assaults for 3 weeks. She eventually escaped, her spirit broken, but her desire for revenge ignited. She reconnected with remnants of her old gang and formed a new one. Her single-minded goal was vengeance against the men of Behmai who had violated her and murdered Vikram. On February 14, 1981, Phoolan Devi returned to Behmai. It was a day that would be seared into India's history. Dressed in a police uniform, she and her gang rounded up the Thakur men of the village. She searched for Sri Ram and Lala Ram, but they were nowhere to be found. In a furious act of retribution, her gang opened fire, killing 22 Thakur men. The Behmai massacre turned Phoolan Devi into the most wanted woman in India. A massive police manhunt was launched, but she evaded capture for 2 years, navigating the treacherous ravines of the Chambal with the help of sympathetic villagers who saw her as a hero. By 1983, weary and with her health failing, Phoolan decided to negotiate a surrender. But she did it on her own terms. She refused to surrender to the Uttar Pradesh police, whom she deeply distrusted. Instead, she negotiated with the police of the neighboring state, Madhya Pradesh. Her conditions were bold. She demanded that she not be given the death penalty, that her gang members receive lenient sentences, and that her family be provided with land. Her surrender was a media spectacle. She laid down her rifle before a portrait of the goddess Durga, a powerful symbol of female strength and divine justice. She was charged with dozens of crimes, including murder and kidnapping. She then spent the next 11 years in prison without a trial. During her time in jail, her story captivated the world. It became a powerful symbol of the oppression faced by women and lower castes in India. Activists and human rights groups campaigned for her release. Finally, in 1994, the Uttar Pradesh state government, in a move seen as a political calculation to win the support of lower caste voters, withdrew all charges against her. Phoolan Devi walked free, but her story was far from over. In a transformation that stunned the nation, the former bandit entered politics. She joined the Samajwadi Party and in 1996 was elected to the Indian Parliament, the Lok Sabha. The bandit queen was now the Honorable Member of Parliament Phoolan Devi. She used her position to advocate for the rights of the poor, the downtrodden, and women. She was re-elected in 1999, proving that her popularity among the oppressed was no fluke. Tragically, her life of violence came back to haunt her one last time. On July 25, 2001, as she was leaving her official residence in New Delhi, she was assassinated by 3 masked gunmen. The lead assailant, Sher Singh Rana, later claimed that he killed her to avenge the Behmai massacre. Phoolan Devi's life was a complex tapestry of victimhood and violence, rebellion and redemption. Was she a cold-blooded killer or a righteous avenger? A criminal or a champion of the oppressed? The answer depends on who you ask. To the upper castes, she was a terrifying outlaw. To the poor and the marginalized, she was a goddess, a symbol of defiance against an unjust system. Her story remains a powerful and controversial indictment of caste and gender inequality. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about justice, revenge, and the desperate measures people take when society leaves them with no other choice. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into incredible lives.